Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Gary Talks. As I've said before, I'm turning 50 this year, and I did an episode where I looked at the top 10 movies that came out the year I was born, 1975. I received messages from a few of you wanting me to kind of go over my favorite movies from each year of the 50 years I've been alive, and while that sounds awesome, I just can't really dedicate that many episodes to that. But because I love the idea, I thought that this week I'd look at my 10 favorite movies from the year I turned 10, 1985. I don't know if it was because I was turning 10 that year or what, but I think that 1985 is one of the greatest years for movies ever. Going over all the movies that were released this year, I couldn't believe how many couldn't make my list. For 1975, it was kind of a struggle to get some of those on there, but 1985, it was hard to limit it to 10. But I did my best, and coming in at number 10, Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd in Spies Like Us. Directed by John Landis, Spies Like Us is a charming Cold War-era comedy that delivers classic 80s laughs with the unbeatable duo of Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. The film embraces its absurdity following two inept government recruits accidentally thrust into a high-stakes nuclear mission. The chemistry between Chase and Aykroyd is electric, and their comedic timing keeps the energy high from start to finish. The film spoofs spy thrillers while still managing to feel like one, complete with outrageous disguises, over-the-top villains, and a surprisingly fun adventure. It's a lighthearted satire with enough heart and wit to still entertain decades later. And of course, it gave us this classic interaction.
Doctor?
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 Doctor? Doctor? Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor? We're not doctors.
Next up at number 9, Rocky IV. I'm not sure if it was Rocky III or Rocky IV that turned our favorite underdog into a superhero, but Rocky IV certainly made Rocky Balboa into a 1980s Captain America. This time around, he isn't just fighting for pride or legacy. He's stepping into the ring as a symbol of heart, grit, and Western resilience against the towering machine-like force of Ivan Drago, played by the legendary Dolph Lundgren. What makes Rocky IV such a crowd pleaser is its perfect blend of over-the-top spectacle and sincere emotion. The stakes are deeply personal after the shocking loss of Apollo Creed. Rocky's training montage becomes a raw, emotional transformation. And speaking of montages, this movie is the king of them. With great tracks like Hearts on Fire and Burning Heart, each training sequence feels like a music video fueled by determination. At its core, Rocky IV is a story about the power of the human spirit to overcome even the most intimidating odds. It may be drenched in 80s style, but Rocky IV remains timeless in its ability to inspire. Back when I was 10 years old, I grew up in a tiny little town in the Midwest, and there was one movie theater there that had 2 screens. We were really poor, so even though I'm sure the movies didn't cost that much to go to, it was a luxury when we had a chance to do it. Like I'd go on my birthday, or we'd go on a special occasion. But one time, I had spent the night at my friend Brian's house, and his mom took us to the movies. I didn't know what we were seeing, I didn't care, I was just happy to go to the movies, and we saw this movie that comes in at number 8. It was a vampire comedy, maybe a little bit more advanced than I should have seen at 10 years old, but still I thought it was really, really funny. I remember thinking how much I loved the guy that was the star of the movie, and then I didn't really see him do anything else. I always wondered what happened to that guy. Then a TV show called In Living Color came out a few years later, and I was like, hey, that's the Once Bitten guy. It was Jim Carrey, and my number 8 favorite movie of 1985 is Once Bitten. A delightfully quirky horror comedy, Once Bitten puts a fresh, fang-filled twist on the teen sex comedy formula. A young Jim Carrey shines in one of his earliest leading roles, showing off the manic energy and physical comedy that would later make him a superstar. He plays Mark, a lovably awkward high schooler who gets seduced by a glamorous, centuries-old vampire, played with sultry flair by Lauren Hutton, who needs virgin blood to stay young. The movie balances campy gothic vibes with classic teen hijinks, all wrapped in an 80s synthy soundtrack and Halloween-ready atmosphere. The humor is playful, the tone is light, and Carrey's natural charisma elevates every scene he's in. Once Bitten might not be the first thing people think of when they think of Jim Carrey, but it's a cult classic for a reason, and it's just plain fun. Coming in at number 7 for me is a movie that a lot of you would list as your number 1 movie of the year, and maybe even number 1 movie of all time. And it is a great movie, but it just goes to show how many awesome movies were out in 1985 for this to only be number 7, The Breakfast Club. Directed by one of my all-time favorites, John Hughes, The Breakfast Club is pure 80s magic, a heartfelt, rebellious anthem for every teenager who's ever felt misunderstood, which is all of them. And it slowly peels back the layers until you see the vulnerable, real people underneath. It's just one day in detention, but it feels like a lifetime of growth packed into 97 minutes. The cast, they're all iconic, each capturing the raw truth of being young and confused in a world that doesn't always get you. The film pulses with that wistful, neon-tinged energy of the 80s, and when Don't You Forget About Me hits at the end, fist raised, music soaring, you feel it in your soul. The Breakfast Club isn't just a movie, it's a moment frozen in time, and it still speaks to every generation that discovers it. I wouldn't say that the next movie is the one from this list that I quote the most, because I quote my number 1 favorite movie here daily. But I do quote this movie a lot. It is so great. It's one that I know a lot of people love, but at the same time, I bet a lot of people don't know it. Number 6, Better Off Dead. A gloriously offbeat gem, Better Off Dead blends teen angst with absurdist comedy in the best possible way. Starring John Cusack as the heartbreak-stricken Lane Meyer, the film takes the classic guy gets dumped and guy tries to win girl back formula and gleefully flips it on his head, with claymation burgers, ski duels, and a relentless paperboy who just wants his $2. Cusack brings a lovable deadpan charm to Lane, making his bizarre journey through love, humiliation, and self-discovery unexpectedly heartfelt. The supporting cast is just as awesome, from Diane Franklin's endearing French exchange student to Curtis Armstrong's unforgettable turn as the eccentric best friend, Charles DeMar. With its surreal humor, quotable lines, and surprisingly sweet core, Better Off Dead captures the weird, wonderful chaos of teenage life. It's weird in all the right ways, which makes it unforgettable. Coming in at number 5 is a movie that I rented a ton as a kid. I'm actually shocked they didn't just give me the tape at the video store. My wife knew how much I loved this movie, that she bought a t-shirt of this movie for me. And you're like, oh wow, great, a t-shirt that's got the movie poster or something on it. No. She bought the shirt that my favorite character in the movie wore once. It said, "What are you looking at, Dick Nose?" That movie is Teen Wolf. Hot off the success of Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox brings his signature likability and comedic timing to the role of Scott Howard, a regular teenager who suddenly discovers he's a werewolf. Teen Wolf, get it? What sets Teen Wolf apart is how it blends the bizarre with the relatable. Sure, Scott can dunk like an NBA pro and grow fangs on command, but at its core, this is a movie about identity, popularity, and staying true to yourself. It taps into that universal teenage desire to stand out, and then cleverly shows that being special doesn't mean losing who you are. Add in a funky soundtrack, some iconic basketball scenes, and one of the most memorable dance montages of the decade, and you've got a cult classic that still earns its spot in the pantheon of great teen comedies. Coming in at number 4, a classic vampire movie, Fright Night. Written and directed by Tom Holland, Fright Night brilliantly balances campy thrills, practical effects with a surprising amount of heart. At the center is Charlie Brewster, your average suburban teen who suddenly suspects his suave new neighbor is a vampire. Spoiler alert, he's right. What makes Fright Night stand out is its perfect blend of horror and humor. It's creepy when it needs to be, but it never forgets to have fun. William Ragsdale is the perfect wide-eyed protagonist, and Roddy McDowall steals every scene as Peter Vincent, a washed-up horror host turned reluctant vampire slayer. The special effects still hold up, especially the grotesque transformations, giving the movie a classic monster vibe with 80s flair. Whether you're a horror diehard or just love a good spooky time with a dose of nostalgia, Fright Night really delivers. It's not just a great vampire movie, it's one of the most fun horror films of the decade. Next up at number 3 is a movie that I've found that people really love it when you turn 10 the year it came out. people who are a little older than me, they don't love this movie as much because they weren't the perfect age for it. And people younger than me, they watch this movie and they're like, I don't get the love. Why does everyone love it so much? It's just been announced that we're getting a sequel to it, and I hope that the sequel is amazing. But even if it's not, it can't ruin just how much I love The Goonies. Directed by Richard Donner and produced by Steven Spielberg, The Goonies is pure cinematic treasure. An adventurous, heartfelt ride that captures the magic of childhood like few films ever have. The film follows a ragtag group of kids from the Goondocks who stumble onto a pirate map and set off on a wild quest to find the lost treasure of One-Eyed Willie. Part Indiana Jones, part coming-of-age tale, and all fun. The film blends action, humor, and emotion in perfect measure. These kids feel real, they argue, they stumble, but their loyalty and sense of wonder carry the film through every trapdoor and underground tunnel. The cast chemistry is electric, and the dialogue is endlessly quotable. What makes The Goonies so special is its ability to spark that sense of youthful adventure where danger is thrilling and friendship is everything. Add in some great villains, practical effects, and a perfectly spooky pirate ship finale, and you've got a movie that generations keep coming back to. The Goonies isn't just a movie, it's a rite of passage, and like any great treasure, the charm only grows with time. My number 2 favorite movie from 1985 is certainly one that I saw far too young. Those of you that know this movie know exactly what I'm talking about. Return of the Living Dead. Directed by Dan O'Bannon, The Return of the Living Dead is a punk rock, brain-craving, genre-bending masterpiece that redefines zombie cinema with wild energy and wicked humor. The plot kicks off in a creepy medical supply warehouse where a pair of bumbling employees accidentally unleash a toxic gas that reanimates the dead. From there, all hell breaks loose, literally. But what sets Return apart is its perfect cocktail of horror, comedy, and sheer chaos. The zombies aren't slow and shambling. They're fast, relentless, and smarter than you'd expect. And yes, they talk. Send me a pups. The movie oozes style and attitude. It's gory, it's hilarious, and it still feels subversive decades later. It's a loud, bloody, and totally alive adventure in all the best ways. And now my number 1 favorite movie from 1985, and when I made the 1975 list, I didn't put Jaws at number 1, and people were shocked. One of my buddies said he wanted to fight me over it, but there's no surprise here for 1985. My favorite movie is the one that all of you assume will be my favorite movie, and in fact is my favorite movie of all time. Number 1, Back to the Future. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, Back to the Future is nothing short of a cinematic masterpiece, a dazzling, heart-pounding, time-traveling triumph that catapults you into a whirlwind of pure joy, and this movie is flawless. The story is a stroke of genius. A teenager accidentally zapped back to 1955 in a DeLorean time machine, scrambling to fix the past while ensuring his own existence. The script is razor sharp. The pacing is perfection. Every scene bursts with vibrant energy, including what is likely my favorite scene in movie history, at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance.
Scrap, McFly, cutting in.
Earth angel, the one I adore.
Hey boy, you alright?
I can't play. Excuse me.
The vision of your happiness. Whoa, please be mine. My darling dear, love you for all time.
Add in a soaring score and you're swept into a nostalgic, adrenaline-fueled ride that truly is timeless. Back to the Future is a celebration of adventure and imagination, and it makes you want to jump into a time machine and relive it again and again. And it is far and away the best movie of 1985. Man, movies that came out the year I turned 10 were simply amazing. I think I'm going to go ahead and down the road try to make a list of the movies that came out when I turned 20 and 30 and 40, but I'm pretty sure that none of them will be as great as the movies were the year I turned 10.
From capes to tapes, Gary's on the case. He's breaking down each scene, every place. On Gary Talks, he's quick with his peculiar wit. From plot twists to the comic strips, Gary's flipping sick.